I haven't done a video discussing the situation in the world, between the coronavirus and the ongoing open warfare against, I have to say, against humanity as a whole, is what is actually going on. Okay, there is a global war where humanity is under assault. Okay, and the reason it's hard to say anything is because you can't rely on any news source or anybody to tell you the truth of what's going on. Okay, everyone's accusing everyone of misinformation. So news and getting the truth out is clouded and confused no matter how you look at it. Whether you look at videos made by people like me, the mainstream media, the foreign media is reporting something totally different than what is really happening here in the U.S. That's number one. Number two, there is an ongoing economic war where the whole world economy is being crushed. Okay, no matter where you live, not only here in the U.S. or locally, but I guess globally. There are other problems, okay? Now with this racial conflict is basically destroying the foundations of the United States, okay? And the whole system of government and our whole country is under attack, okay? And I guess in other European countries there are problems. I've heard things going on. Things ain't really so keen in Russia either, okay? What's told on the news, which is just about nothing, is not what really is going on there, from what I've heard from people who live in the region. Okay, a lot of bizarre things going on there. And, you just don't report the news in a lot of these countries either, because you end up disappearing if you do tell the truth. So, a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation. There is an ongoing economic war. And another thing, I've been doing a lot of studying, looking at political analysts from foreign countries, not from the U.S. I'm looking at several different political analysts who put their views and opinions out about the whole global pandemic and the United States especially. It's a big deal. And there's more going on because they discuss the psychological warfare, which is another thing. You could call it propaganda or whatever, but the subliminal bombardment that you get from just the news or radio. The one individual said out of the two countries that use subliminal techniques on their populace, the people, to force their way of thinking, to force behavioral modification. Number one is Japan. And everyone, oh, Japan has eliminated all firearms crimes and all this other stuff and everything. But the analyst said Japan also leads the world in the suicide rate, which he says is in direct correlation with just this psychological control and constant bombardment. He goes, the second country that does this to its populace is the United States of America. Okay? Because honestly, the reason I can't make a video and put my thoughts together to say anything is I'm bombarded with stuff from all different directions that you can't think clearly. Even though you have the ability to, you're just in your face every day. Wear a mask, coronavirus, you're gonna die, you can't open this. This is bad. They're tearing down statues of Christopher Columbus. Now Andrew Jackson, any monument to him, is being ripped down and destroyed. They're demanding all police departments be overhauled and that. The government's in a panic. They're all trying to pass laws and legislation, one side, the other side. It's just mass confusion. and you really don't know what is the truth or what's going on. The whole country is overwhelmed and basically out of control. Okay? Uh, Protests in the general area where I live, there are probably protests still going on, but during that initial thing a few weeks ago when it was throughout the whole country, yeah, there was some looting and some nonsense going on, and some buildings got damaged. But that has seemed to calm down. The protests are there, they're peaceful. The police, don't have to tear gas or arrest anyone. They come out, they protest, and they just make sure they're not blocking off a main road. They block roads and areas and have their protests. And everything's, at least where I am, has calmed down. Um, there was some kind of and it wasn't a protest, it was a block party down in Charlotte. They went awry, and a large number of people were shot and killed. Okay, a mass shooting. But it wasn't like one individual killing them. It was just like a group of people got together, and then something went wrong, and everyone started shooting one another. So you have this loss of control and lawlessness, on top of the fact that everyone wants police departments to be banned and not to, enforce anything or change the regulations and let people out of jail, and you're getting hit with all of this, and you just can't really put anything in any type of concise message or discussion, because it's just like everything all at once is barreling down on you, and it takes a toll. It is psychologically, physically. I mean, it wears you the hell out. It gets to where I don't really like turning the TV on. I really don't watch the news. I might watch it once a week, and after listening to all this nonsense and rhetoric and crap, the governor's out to destroy the state. Okay, he's not opening certain things. He's delaying phase 3 for another 3 weeks, I guess, after people tried to put legislation in to force it through and open everything up. He has made a stance, and several mayors of these cities, which, they all kind of do fall on a political line, have made it mandatory to wear a mask in public. And then there's all these ridiculous restrictions. Religious conviction, children under 12 don't have to wear it. They had a big discussion, well, if you have a concealed carry permit and you're armed and the police stop you, can you wear a mask and still carry a gun concealed? And, half-hour discussion, well, if a police officer tells you to pull the mask down when he's questioning you, you must. I mean, to even waste time on TV or ask these questions, and then when the governor's asked, well, when can our businesses open up again, and why are you extending this? Oh, we're all trying to save everyone, we're going to overwhelm this and that, and he doesn't even mention the topic or answer it. So, you have an ineffective government. You have a government in crisis. I guess they're going down through the White House or where is it? Not the White House. Wherever they would have it, the House of Representatives. Wherever they have the paintings of all the past speakers of the House. I guess somebody showed where Nancy Pelosi had any previous House Speaker whose paintings hanging on a wall. If they had any affiliation with the Confederate States of America, they're pulling their paintings down. Okay. This destruction of monuments, removal of paintings, this is what the communists did to overthrow their government or enforce their tyrannical system of government for all those years. Okay? They erased the history of the country, and if you spoke about it or asked about it, you were an enemy of the state. Okay? So there is a destruction of freedom of speech. There is a destruction of our free will, our rights. You can't just rip everything the hell down and say, okay, well, a group of us have decided that our past history is bad and we don't like it, so we're going to just eliminate it and go on with something new. Okay, is basically I guess, what's going on. I'm not even quite sure, because when they try to find out what everyone is protesting and complaining about, you really don't get a clear answer or anything that makes a lot of sense. Okay, eliminating police departments, allowing criminals to run free. None of it's making any sense whatsoever, and nobody's sitting down to clarify what's going on. And then, like I said, who do you believe? Okay, how do you know the information you're getting is true or not distorted or slanted one way? It's kind of like the whole damn world's gone mad. Okay, so I could go on about this, but that's the situation, and it's kind of difficult because there are so many topics mixed in, mashed together, and things going on, because we do live in a complex world. And there's more than one thing going on here. And basically, I guess when you try to sort it all out, it is a form of change, forcible change, where they're changing the whole world and civilization as we know it. And there's a lot of different factors and things that are contributing to this. Okay, and where this is all going, I don't know. And you're like, well, who's controlling it? That's another thing. Who knows? Okay, people like Bill Gates, wealthiest man in the world. That little rat bastard has more power and influence than, you think he should. Or, and who wants this guy making decisions for the whole damn world? In my opinion, he's a little weird, okay? And not really somebody that should be making these decisions. But people like that are the ones that kind of have a hand in current events and situations, okay? So, like I said, I haven't made a video in a while, and honestly, it has been overwhelming, and there's a lot of things going on, and it comes at you in different ways, and it can be overwhelming. So what I think I'm going to do is, like I said, I've been studying up and getting different opinions, whether they're right or wrong or whatever, but you try to find out what different people and different places are saying about things. Okay, and then you try to sort through and see, if any of this makes sense. And unfortunately, after doing this research for weeks, talking about it and looking at just the situation in just my personal life, with the situation here, I recently traveled back to upstate New York, and the situation in New York State it's beyond hope. Okay, I can discuss that, just a whole half-hour video on that, and how things have changed there so much to where, the city I was born and raised in, it doesn't even, to me, it's not even like going to a place in the United States. It's like going to a third world country. Okay. Sad thing to say, but something, personally I have to deal with. It's pretty depressing in a way. But, yeah, so what I'm going to do is take each topic one by one, because like I said, I mentioned the masks and this insurgence of this forcing of this coronavirus and delaying reopening and the effects of that, okay, and the ridiculousness of it in actuality, okay. There's also the monuments and this movement of justice, no justice, no peace. Well, the world is really not a just place for an awful lot of people, okay. and destroying the infrastructure, the government, and the functionality of this country without some sort of government or something to replace it with, or system of society, is insane. Okay, this is what some of the political analysts, the foreign ones, are saying, that all this going on in the U.S., there is no group, there is no political party, there is no force that will be able to come through it all, stand up and say, okay, this is the way it's going to be from now on. He goes, that doesn't exist. He goes, what's going on is they're just creating mayhem and anarchy with no clear directive on where things are going. See, it's another discussion to get into, you know. So that's what I'm going to do, and I guess what I'll do is I'll take each and every subject when I get time and go one by one. You know, a lot of these things, when I make these videos, I don't even get 1,000 hits, but there are a lot of people that like them and like when I make them. And, you know, 800-900's enough for me to make another one. And I'll discuss this. And like I said again, your input, one of the neat things about making these videos is I get a lot of input from people all over the world. And that kind of helps, because as I'm finding out, information and news and that is very construed and conflicting depending on which source you're getting it from and in what region of the world you're living in. Okay? So that's another thing. So stay tuned, and you know, I'll try to cover each topic one by one in a short video. Because like I said, when I start talking about, there's so much going on and so many things, and it's very complex and overwhelming. I could go on for an hour and a half talking about it. But I'll try to make some more comments when I get the time. So stay tuned, and I hope everything is well with everyone wherever you are.